Hey there gang, welcome to Warframe Weapon of the Week on Wednesdays, otherwise known as
Wow.
this segment where we take 10 to 15 minutes to take a look at one of the weapons I've recently been using to keep Warframe fun and fresh for myself. We rate these weapons on 3 metrics using the usual 1 out of 10 scale. First, rating the weapon on raw fashion frame appeal. Does this weapon look sick for what it is? If yes, we rate it highly. It's pretty simple. Next is uniqueness / fun. Not every weapon can be insanely unique, and not every weapon can be super fun. Some weapons are very basic, and that's okay. We still want to assess them for what they bring to the table. So either uniqueness or fun works here. Lastly, overall strength and what the weapon is trying to accomplish. This means if I equip a weapon with a certain goal that is in alignment with that weapon and the way it was intended to be used, or unintended in some cases, it needs to fulfill that role, whether it is damage, support, or otherwise. Overall strength in a meta sense has less value here, but still carries some weight. This combines into an overall 30-point scale at the end of the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that crap, you know how it goes, and let's jam. Today we're taking a look at the Nagantaka Prime, starting with our fashion here. Now the Nagantaka is also pretty solid, but I would like to use the best form of this weapon, so we're looking at the Prime today. This is Garuda's signature weapon, gaining some punch through when she uses it, but we're not really concerned about that all too much. So in terms of fashion frame, this thing looks amazing. We've got blood red for the string there, the nice Orokin polish on there, the red looks amazing, the white looks amazing, the little gray accents look great. This is just a default colorway. You can also equip arrows in the accessory slot. So in this case, I would probably like to use Prisma arrows, or maybe the arrows here. Whatever arrows you want, even though they're not visible on the weapon right away, when you fire the bolts, they will come out. Let's take a look at some other fashion frame models I've made for you. This is the one we're going to be using today, Ash, with the Nagantaka, slightly recolored, with more of a rose gold look, some black and some crimson. Pretty basic. And then I also have Ivara here, who I've actually gone for a more tech look to show that it still works with the more futuristic looking frames, using this Ivara skin. This is probably a 9 out of 10, I'd say, for uniqueness, both in the fact that it's a crossbow, of which we don't have many that are both functional and pretty, and also it looks really good for what it is. I think even if there was more competition in the crossbow category, this would still look amazing. Again, that Orokin finish looking great. It's bulky enough, it's sleek. So even if you were equipping this as a primary just to do like a Daryl Dixon cosplay, I think this would still be an amazing choice. Fashion, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Really no debate on that. Let's take a look at some base stats and how we can mod this thing to make it do some real damage. Taking a look at our base stats here in the Codex, we actually have some, in my opinion, really slept on stats here. Hopefully this also gives you a better look at the fashion. Again, I think this thing's structure is just amazing. I'm a huge fan of the way it looks. So fire rate is a little bit low, magazine size kind of small, reload speed 2.3 seconds is not agonizing and it can be easily modded around, but it does kind of suck a little bit. Accuracy very high, obvious, silent, built-in is quite good if you're trying to use something like Ivara, and a semi-auto trigger. The big things, oh my god, like 25% crit chance, pretty solid. 2.3x crit damage, pretty solid. But 39% status kind of shocks me a little. These precision weapons generally have lower status in favor of crit, but in this case we get literally everything. For those moderately uneducated in Warframe modding, things like fire rate and reload especially are very easy to mod around using things like Amalgam Furex body count, the companion mods. What is it? Reinforced Bond, I believe. The Aphentis, external buffs. They're really easy to get around. Getting flat crit or flat status or crit damage isn't the hardest thing to get, but these stats are way harder to get than these ones. So having these stats be kind of mediocre means we can lift them up and make them great. These stats start great and on our build will end great. Again, 39% status chance on a weapon like this is great, especially when we get into the gimmicks that the weapon has. It's also predominantly slash, which you really want. This means things like viral and status damage will be very useful. So huge fan of that. Alt fire, which we'll take a look at, again, has the same stats, fortunately. We're not punished by using the alt fire. Let's take a look at special weapon gimmicks. For those who are unfamiliar with how to look for your, I shouldn't say call them gimmicks, unique mechanics to your weapon, they're either going to be here, in the text here, a golden version, blah, blah, blah. Alt fire to let loose with a barrage of bolts. All bolts have a chance to cause slash status. Headshot kills have a chance to increase reload speed. This is actually guaranteed, and we're going to take a look at it. And when wielded by Garuda, the Nagantaka gains a slight punch through that is 1 meter. You can either find it here or here under unique trait, or both. But note that it won't always be here, and it won't always be in that body of text. You should be checking both, especially if it's your favorite weapon. Precision reload, alternate fire, rapidly expends magazine in a single burst. headshot kills increase the speed of next reload by 50%, and then that punch through reload by grid or whatever. So one thing to note here is that precision reload, which is the name of the mechanic that causes your reload to increase by 50%, is, I believe this is a bug, but it could be an interaction intended. If it's intended, it sucks. DE, please fix this, right? Precision reload is a non-refreshable during its duration buff. So if precision reload, it's 3 seconds. I'll show you in the practice tool. If that buff is currently up, you cannot refresh it. This means if you kill a theoretically infinite amount of enemies with headshots within the 2.9 seconds, and then you stop, the 2.9 seconds following the headshot kill, and then stop, and you reload, you like after the 3 seconds has expired, you will not get the precision reload. It is very gimmick. It's very frustrating. It's a little finicky. If you learn to use it, it's not a big issue, but it does kind of, if you're new to using the Nagantaka, you will notice it and you'll have to work around it. But the alternate fire, I have no complaints about. It works really great. You can roll to cancel it, and you can also use things like primary crux in the build I'm going to show you today to kind of work around it. So in terms of base stats, we have a lot to work with. It's really exciting. And in terms of the unique trait actually is very unique in that it actually compensates for the weaknesses we mentioned earlier. Fire rate is low. We have alternate fire that dumps the entire mag. Reload speed's a problem. We have precision reload, again, despite its bug or bad intended feature or whatever it might be. We can very easily work around all these things. This is the makings of a really great weapon, and I'm going to show you just how great it can get with some modding. That is nowhere near perfect, but these 3 builds are pretty solid and build around different facets of the weapon that we have available to us. So let's take a look. So here I've got 3 builds for you today. 2 that I don't use all that often and could definitely use some more work, and then the build that I generally use all the time. This first one is a very base build. It uses galvanized scope, galvanized chamber, rhyme rounds, malignant force, thermite rounds, vital sense, a ribbon. This could be changed out for hellfire to increase the heat weighting, or a variety of things. If you really wanted to take acuity and then take out chamber, you could do that, and hammer shot along with primary deadhead. If you need to take your screenshot, go ahead and do that now. The other build here is a precision-based build that uses electricity and magnetic for taking out priority targets. It uses galvanized scope, vital sense, high voltage, hammer shot, magnetic capacity, my ribbon, which could be again replaced with something like the electric 90 mod if you wanted to, and the 100 munitions and primary acuity. This build is I'm still labbing out with really hard. And haven't figured out fully how to make it work. I think I need terminal velocity in here to increase projectile speed, which I really should have in all these builds, but I just don't feel like putting a 5th and a 6th forma in that I'll need for the build. And so I'll do a little display for this first build. We are going buffless, even though I'm going to be using Ash at some point. We're going to go 0 buffs, except for the viral priming on my little friend there. So obviously the thing with galvanized scope is that you do have to stack it, but once you have it stacked, these enemies fall right over real nice. And if I want to use the alt fire, it'll mag dump and take out enemies with like more than just ease. And likewise, if I want to roll in the middle of it, it'll cancel that as well. So it's somewhat manageable. I wouldn't recommend that as a permanent solution, but it's a great way to make the alt fire do what you want it to. So taking a look at precision reload here, I want to share my frustrations with you guys. So watch, as you can see, when I land a headshot kill, that precision reload thing pops up next to my companion, plus 50%. I'm going to continuously kill enemies with headshots, and you will notice that duration does not refresh and only goes down. So let's take a look here. Oh, he's hiding. There we go. 1, 2, 3. It pops back up, but I get another headshot kill there, and you see that the duration does not refresh. This is super annoying and makes using the weapon really frustrating, to put it very, very kindly. So hopefully D can take a look at that. I might put in a bug report. At this point I probably should, because I don't think anyone uses this weapon. But yeah, it's super annoying. And then we'll do a little showcase of this weapon, this build rather. I haven't looked too deep into. It is a more sniper focused build, not focused on alt fire at all, and it's just meant to deal like high damage to single targets. As you can see, some nice little punch through there. Primed Shred is another really great option. And this is kind of like your red crit, bat chest, exciting build. It's not as fruitful as I'd like, and there's weapons that do this whole like red crit bit better. Again, if I had terminal velocity, I think I'd be able to aim a little bit better, but aiming projectiles is always a little bit harder than hit scan. But now I have the build that I use all the time and spent quite a bit of time working on, though I don't think it's perfect and maybe could use a little bit of adjustment. Primary Crux Nagantaka Prime. This is my jam. Utilizing blast. Another good option here, by the way, for this sniper build is actually gas. The beauty of the Nagantaka Prime is that it has that built-in status, which helps it with its slash, which is very clearly its goal of damage dealing, but also it helps you build gas and blast, which are single target weapons. One of the biggest weaknesses of the Nagantaka is that it's a single target weapon, but high status single target weapons can be turned into AoE using blast and gas, both really good approaches. Blast being better for higher fire rate weapons, and gas being better for those lower fire rate sniper rifle like weapons. But both work here because we have the alt fire. So let's take a look here. Again, I was using 0 buffs in that last section, and I think it did pretty good for Steel Path modified level 200 enemies. That's, of course, up to you, but we're doing the same thing here. And first thing I have to do, though, is it uses primary crux, which means we need to stack crux up and then get to shooting. So we're at 10 stacks here. I'll reload. And you'll notice the Nagantaka is only capable of firing the amount of bullets or bolts within its magazine. That was kind of an ugly representation of what I'm trying to show. But the Nagantaka only knows how to fire the amount of rounds it has. But what primary crux does is it gives you status chance, which we want for the blast, but it also gives you ammo efficiency, meaning it will fire 12 bolts, but it won't use 12 bolts, which is really significant. So crux is a initial sacrifice of damage that turns into insane quality of life. As you can see, these blast procs are helping us out quite a bit here, and we're not really optimizing, using them optimally. But as you can see, it lets me fire so many more, like a ridiculous amount more bolts, to the point where I'm basically using the alt fire, as you see with 10 stacks here. I'm basically using the alt fire as the main fire there, which hurts your fingers a little bit if you're not used to it. But now when we activate buffs, that's where things get very serious. So one last look at this build. And Rifle Elementalist here is a key difference. You would probably want that if you were using the gas build that I mentioned earlier. And let's take a look. Pop Smokescreen, pop Roar. We're gonna quickly stack up. Oh, I was trying to stack Crux and they all, oh, interesting. And yeah, as you can see, the enemies don't really stand a chance against one magazine. And quite frankly, half the magazine would have done the trick. So yeah, primary crux is really underrated with this weapon. The efficiency gives you so much mileage. The only problem is keeping crux up is a bit of a pain in the ass. But the big catch to that is you're going to be wanting to land headshots anyway for a variety of reasons, but also for precision reload. Precision reload helps because, again, crux makes us so we have to reload less often, so we land the headshots, then our reloads become more efficient, so on and so forth. So yeah, these are the 3 builds. I'll give you guys one last chance to screenshot the 3 of them. When you're modding, again, prioritize your critical chance, your critical damage mods. So Vital Sense is going to be in basically every single one. But for crit chance, you get a lot of options. You can go for the acuity approach. You can go for critical delay. The fire rate isn't a huge deal, but I wouldn't super recommend it. I would probably take Point Strike on this one, though the alt fire does a pretty good job at compensating for that low fire rate, even if you take the penalty there. Critical damage here. Bladed rounds is an option if you want to take that. If you're going for a very sniper-like build, this mod is heavily underrated. I personally like it, but I do have the Riven there due to this weapon's pretty decent Riven disposition, which again makes it a unique favorite weapon of mine. Status, there's a ton of options. Aptitude is not bad for the, I don't really need the extra status chance, but for the extra base damage, in this case, I'll use like Spectral Serration or something. I believe I have it on this build, yeah. So I use Spectral Serration here, which compensates for what you normally lose through Deadhead or Merciless. Aptitude can make up for that really easily and give you status chance at the same time. I personally just like Spectral Serration, my bad, because I like to play with Ash and Avara. I would say that Rifle Elementalist is basically required if you're going to use this blast setup, and then just the elements required to put blast together. If you want, for me, I use my companion to prime viral, but also if you have Nourish in your build, that will do as well. Nourish is good on basically every frame in the game. So I'll do one little demonstration with buffs, and then we'll hop in, yap a bit, and that'll be the end of the video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let's take a look here. As you can see, once Crux is stacked up, it's over for these guys, unfortunately. It's not, I will say this weapon doesn't do nearly as good in the simulacrum as I'd like it to, but that's okay. Hopefully you guys understand the gimmick and way this weapon works. Hopefully you enjoyed, and let's chat for a little bit. Heading into the Circulus lab on Lua, Steel Path Modified. I'll just do a quick little display. I won't take too much of your time here. Just want to show you kind of how this weapon actually operates in a real mission. So let's head over here, pop our cloak, smoke these guys. I would say the biggest downside to the uniqueness slash fun of this weapon, the blast proc just demolishes them there, is that you really want roar for the blast procs, and that's kind of annoying because like you want roar for nearly everything in this game, and I'm kind of starting, not that roar is like required, not that we don't deal enough damage, it's more that some of the more unique methods that we use to deal damage, you know, roar is the only way to buff them, whether that's a Warframe ability, a status proc. We're just a little bit bottlenecked in how we can do our damage. So, you know, it kind of sucks that, okay, blast damage, all we do is equip elementalist mods and roar, and then we're done. Yes, that's basically it. It's not a very creative approach. So in terms of uniqueness slash fun, I would give this a 7. I think that's totally fair. It's a crossbow, which it's an explosive repeater crossbow. I am not going to ever try to tell anyone that that's not unique. And then I'm honestly docking the whole point for the whole precision reload thing, especially with my blast build, which prioritizes your ability to like manipulate your magazine a lot. It's just, oh, it's such an annoying little bug, man. It's so annoying. I really don't like it. Whether it's intentional or not is not material to me. It's a super annoying bug. But as you can see, the build does like a pretty good job clearing out these enemies. For a weapon that is supposed to be like a precision weapon, it can do both. You know, if you are just dealing with like lower quantities of enemies, you can easily just sit and use the regular fire. But with a lot of enemies present, you can let middle mouse, you know, sing and watch the whole room get cleared. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it. Overall strength, I would give it a compared to meta, I'd probably give it like a 7, a 6 or 7. We'll see in the editing room what I decide. But the reload bug also does kind of impact like the strength as well, because it determines your ability to load a fresh mag and kill enemies. And again, like I just killed an enemy with a headshot there, and I did not get the buff that I need to increase. A 50% reload speed buff is quite significant. And so getting that consistency taken away, especially with where like the meta's at in terms of being able to like kill massive enemies, yeah, it's annoying. I'm not a huge fan. This weapon is strong though, and like a lot of the purpose of the series is to show weapons that I feel are really underrated and I don't see people using very often at all. So yeah, as long as you're keeping primary crux stacked, as long as you are aiming for those headshots and using a build that complements your playstyle, I think the Nagantaka Prime is like totally worth picking up. It's pretty unpopular, and it does the job. Again, I basically have this build where I can turn my my alt fire into my primary fire. It is really fun. It gets rid of that fire rate weakness that a lot of precision weapons have, and that makes them kind of not keep up with the modern weapon meta. So is it gonna solo carry you in a survival? Honestly, I would say that it could, but its ease of use is nowhere near the traditional AoE meta, nowhere near that. So yeah, Nagantaka Prime's an overall pretty solid weapon. We'll see what it gets in the final score after I just kind of fully sit with everything, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Take care, much love, and I'll see you in a little bit. Bye-bye. Taking a gander at final scores here, our fashion is left with a 9 out of 10. I think this is pretty undisputable. The weapon looks amazing, especially being a unique crossbow. If I had this equipped as just a weapon I never used, I would be like beyond satisfied with it. In terms of uniqueness slash fun, we end up with a 7. I think a lot of this is attributed to the precision reload bug being kind of annoying. That applies to its strength as well, because precision reload is not just a feel. In a weapon like this, it's actually very key to how the weapon functions. Also, I think if I had, what is the thing called? Lethal terminal velocity, whatever it's called. I think if I had terminal velocity, which is a 60% additional projectile speed, I would have a lot more fun with this weapon. Aiming the projectiles can be tough, especially on a weapon that does rely on whether you no matter what build you're using, whether it's the primary Crux build or the Acuity build, most setups with this weapon, or the galvanized scope as well, most setups want you to land headshots, and landing headshots with projectiles in some of the Warframe maps is just a little bit less than ideal. So I think for uniqueness and fun, and maybe even both strength, could both be boosted up to 8 out of 10s should I have that mod equipped. I'll just note that bias now. I've just had work in school, haven't had time to forma and level stuff and playtest everything the way I'd like to. So yeah, in the fashion frame, 9 out of 10. In the uniqueness/fun, I'd say 7. And then strength, I was feeling down on myself a little bit, but I'm also not really used to talking and playing at the same time, so I think I was playing worse. And also this, this game doesn't really require you to go in solo all the time. So a weapon's strength shouldn't really be determined by that. It shouldn't really be measured up against the best of the best of the best all the time. So you bring this weapon into basically any mission, it will do its job and more at an above average level, and I think that warrants a 7 out of 10. But again, I think if I had terminal velocity equipped, maybe some of the build ironed out perfectly the way I'd like to, maybe even an 8. But overall, 977 leads us to a 23 out of 30 score. This weapon is so worth trying, especially if you really like crossbows, precision weapons, stuff like that. This thing looks amazing. Love it to death. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this series. If you really enjoyed it, you should leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff, and comment what kind of weapon you'd like to see next. Thank you guys so much for watching. Much love, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.